Dear Diary, hold on to your pages. I can't believe this is already chapter 20. Time flies and I'm fucking grateful to have these videos to use as a time machine. So let's catch you up. June wrapped with bittersweet goodbyes to my lovely roommates in Milan.
Isabel, Tiara, share.
So we giggled one last time, I tucked memories into my suitcase and flew back home to the world's most beautiful city. Some flight hiccups later, my feet finally touched home ground and I rushed into a quick festival preparation and a loved one squeezing. And after less than 24 hours back in Germany, BAM! I was off to Fusion. 5 days of dancing and soul-filling reunions later, I was back, eagerly awaiting cuddles from Momo and heart-to-heart chats with my gorgeous mom. My favorite moments of July were the evenings I wandered around my neighborhood for hours, reminiscing the beauty of Hamburg in the company of my doggy.
This is really random, but my hair has been growing so much longer and I am so happy with this length. I feel like because I'm a little bit more of a masculine gal, you know? Wide shoulders, small tits, big heart. It's nice to have a little bit of a feminine touch again. In general, I feel like I've been a lot more in touch with my femininity in a way. Also besides hair, I love to be a woman.
Turns out I also love to be a wife. Plot twist, for the grand finale of July, I got married. I couldn't have imagined a more perfect wedding. As the cherry on top of a wedding cake, our mates gave us an old cassette recorder with audio recordings from all of the wedding guests at the rave.
Kassette 1, Seite A.
Liebe Leslie,
Lieber Johann.
das ist eure geheime Rede.
Ja, mach ich weiter so. Oder so. Bitte, die Geisten, I love you. Boom, boom, boom. Let's make Kinder. Ich liebe euch. Ihr seid die Geisten.
After the wedding, I realized what a shithole of an apartment I came back home to and how messy everything had gotten. But of course, I didn't let that ruin my mood.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
Instead, I made a plan to clean and declutter my space, while meeting all the people I had missed during my time in Italy to catch up. Clemens and I even built a sink cabinet for my bathroom, which is pretty symbolic for my new organized lifestyle in my opinion. I still feel like I'm not adulting quite correctly, but this thing definitely brought me a big step closer to being a proper adult. Life resumed its rhythm, more work and more traveling. I love it. Which resulted in me getting home at 3 a.m., having a mental breakdown and singing to myself in the mirror.
I am so tired. I'm incredibly tired. Can I go makeup? Let's take off these layers. For some reason I've been breaking out on my chin and I can't seem to figure out why. At first I thought it was Momo because I try not let her lick my face, but if I do, it's only down here. So I thought it was some disgusting dog bacteria, but I've canceled all the dog licking. I blocked her off and I'm still breaking out on my chin, so it's not that. Oh, I'm so tired. Have I mentioned that I lack sleep? Sleep deprived. Just a little sleep deprived part of the universe. Enough.
But after some pets on Momo's head and a few hours of sleep, it was time to shoot again. I took Momo to a set for the first time and she had a blast. On the weekends, I dressed up and channeled my inner Powerpuff Girl to support Synthetic Love, my friend's event series. Mid-August, I started to realize that I hadn't really slowed down in a few months and it was time to take a breath. Back in Milan, I already talked about how I have the tendency to experience things quite excessively. My heart is always savoring extremes. I'm on top of the world and things as little as finding the perfect parking spot make me
dance and jump around, or I'm deeply devastated and I'm listening to records in my apartment and melancholically looking up at the ceiling. As I'm getting older, I'm learning to adjust to those extremes, figuring out what's triggering them and how I can live through my ups and downs a little bit more peacefully. Throughout the past 6 months, I have been bursting with energy and optimism, and now I can feel that I'm slowly losing that effortless spark again. In the past, the exhaustion of my serotonin levels resulted in breakdowns, hopelessness, and slumps. But I'm trying to break this pattern more and more and learn how to rest properly instead. I had a really salutary conversation with my mom the other day. She said that if she's in a very uplifted phase of her life, she tends to make promises and plans for later on. But sometimes she ends up not having the capacity to follow through with these plans when the time comes. If she doesn't readjust when she can feel her endurance decreasing, this behavior leads to failure and disappointing other people and herself. She's already developed an approach to handle this pattern in her life, and I realized that I have very similar tendencies, but I haven't really addressed them appropriately. When I'm feeling good, I'm radiating that energy into all areas of my life, and I'm able to socialize, work, give, help, and play all at once without feeling overwhelmed. But as soon as I feel my energy shifting, I don't adjust my schedule and my expectation towards my boundaries and needs. To avoid failure and disappointment, I've decided to follow my mom's advice and try to figure out how I can structure my days realistically now that I don't have that much energy anymore. When I wake up and struggle to even get out of bed, I try to accept that I'm not in the best place and have a slow, loving morning instead of beating myself up for not jumping straight out of bed into Pilates and the perfect morning routine. I make sure to have a list of all of the things that I have to get done necessarily. For example, paying my invoices, responding to business emails, or going to important appointments. And I allow myself to be happy with my accomplishments at the end of the day, even if all I could do was the bare minimum. I used to force myself to maintain my old routines and structures, demanding myself to push through the things that used to nourish me when I was in a better place, but honestly drain me when I'm overtired. I used to constrain myself to maintain my busy schedule, including every little silly thing, until I would eventually break down and neglect everything, even the necessary things. Failing and neglecting the necessities would cause more disappointment and hopelessness, and more disappointment and hopelessness would cause more failing and neglecting. It's really empowering to have a possibility of action and self-efficiency, to refrain from getting into this vicious circle instead of letting my emotions overrule my actions. To give an example of what this adjustment can look like, last week I woke up in the middle of the night because I had a terrible nightmare and couldn't fall asleep anymore. So instead of lying in bed with an aching heart, I packed a bag, woke up Momo, and drove into the sunrise to spend my morning breathing through my heartache. I believe it's okay to feel unarmed and powerless, but I also believe that instead of falling apart, you have the choice to hold yourself in moments of despair.